Here he is, the Irishman, Kyle McElroy.
Hey, fellas. Thanks for having me.
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
How's it going?
I'm well. How you dudes doing? You got good spirits?
We always are doing well, my friend. I'm sorry we didn't get up to see your guys' fight up in New York live, but Mike was away at school. I would have loved to have seen this banger in person.
I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be at the fights. I don't want to be at school.
Yeah, you
locked away inside cinder block rooms.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, exactly. It's a little prison-esque.
Yeah. So Kyle McElroy, you had a lot of beef going into this fight with Zach Calmus, but now since then you've kind of like become the guy that has beef with everybody. Can you explain to us where this were you?
I think it's important to go to the beginning, Kyle.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's important here. Sorry to cut in on you, but I do think it's important to go back to the first fight because something happened after you fought Jensen. You were on Chris Jensen's show, right, with Zach Calmus, or what happened there? Because it was the first time you fought when you fought against Jensen. Zach Calmus was in your corner. How did he end up in your corner? Let's start there.
That was sort of just like a casual happenstance. I didn't have like a camp or a coach or anything. I was just kind of off the couch on that one. So I thought I could just rock up and fight, and it'd be all good. They'd be like, "Oh, he doesn't have a cornerman. This guy's that whatever. It is what it is." But I was informed I must have a corner person. So I happened to be friendly with Zach on Instagram, and he offered to corner me. So. It was as simple as that. Not a lot went into it. There were a lot of issues with him cornering me, but and that's kind of what stemmed like this beef we have, But it was more things afterwards that got funky. He was offered a fight with me. They were going to do a card in Albuquerque December 4th, and he turned it down. And he went on Jensen's show. I think that maybe like justified that in some regard, and he just had not so kind things to say about me as reasoning for not taking the fight at the time, which didn't sit well with me because, as far as I was concerned, from my perspective, he had let me down on fight week. Again, it had nothing to do with how that fight went. It just he was annoying throughout the week, and I don't want to get into it, but. I gave him the benefit of the doubt on it. I wasn't gonna, hate the guy over that kind of shit. But and then when he came on, when I saw what he said on Jensen's podcast, like, he's like, "I'll never fight Kyle. The guy's a scumbag. I'll never fight him." Like it's on, I'll forward you a video later or whatever. But yeah, that obviously didn't sit well with me. At least if he would have given some reasons as to why he was saying I was a scumbag, and we could have had some sort of open discourse, I suppose. But. So that coupled with him turning down the fight, that card dissolved, and I'm sure it had more to do with bureaucracy, but I don't know what happened with Diego. I think he was going to headline it, and I don't know if Zach, kind of pulling out or refusing that fight had anything to do with it dissolving. I'm sure it probably didn't, but again, I didn't fight again for 4 months after that, so it definitely affected me in some regard. I had accepted a few opponents since then, but they, on their end, it didn't manifest, So that was like kind of the beef Zach and I had going in. He hasn't been a man of his word from my perspective, in many different sort of facets. And again, he's loved and by the kind of BKFC community, and I think he's pushed really sort of fortunately he's pushed for him by the BKFC. So. I think that anything that sort of opposes somebody that's kind of regarded in that and renowned in that way is probably going to get hate. And I'm a pretty candid, honest person. And even if you go back to my tryout, that was one of the things that I think that they liked about me was that I was honest, or at least from I don't pull words. I don't mince them. So again, I think it's easy to hate me, especially if you don't know me. So that's kind of. My rambling.
So Zach says he cornered you because you were kicked from your gym and you didn't have anybody there for you. Is there truth to that?
No, I was kicked from it. That sounds like something Zach could say, but that's absolutely. I didn't have a gym yet. So after the Jensen fight, I had gotten signed to the pro team at Jackson Wink in Albuquerque prior to the Jensen fight. I just didn't get a chance to get in there and get anything do any work. I had some injuries going into the Jensen fight, so I wasn't able to do much aside from shadow and run, and I just didn't want to pull out of that fight because this whole opportunity from winning the tryout into this has been like an off the couch dust off of a 20-year-old dream that you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, even though I've assigned to a 3-fight contract, I didn't feel I was guaranteed another offer if I didn't go ahead and see this one through. I hadn't formed any relationships with any coaches to even try to ask them to come out. So essentially it was just like, it just so happened that Zach and I we talked some back and forth shit to each other at one stage and then squashed it or whatever. You know, I was trying to get in. So, and that seems to be the theme. If you went in, even if you go to the tryout and win, it seems like you talk shit to somebody who's in, and that seems to be a theme. So Zach,
it definitely doesn't hurt, to try to sell the fight a little bit, talk some shit. As we've seen after Conor McGregor did his thing, I feel like after that, people are like, okay, entertainment's a huge thing, right? Him and Chael. So you fight with Jensen. After that, Jensen corners Calmus in the next fight. Why did that happen? Why did he jump into Calmus's corner for this next fight? What happened with Jensen in between that?
I think they're kind of like I think that they are kind of two peas in a pod. They relate to each other in some regard. Like I said, I gave Zach the benefit of the doubt after what I consider a wacky situation when he was supposed to corner me that week. Like I was chasing that guy all over that whole week. He no-showed my weigh-ins. I had to go chase him down on fight day, and then he just kept disappearing. For like, it was. Anyways, I don't want to get into that, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. The next day, I invited him to lunch with my family, just because he was out there by himself, and I think he had one more day, and he just like blew it off. Come to find out, he went and beach dated with my opponent, Chris Jensen, and I guess they became fast friends after that. So, that was weird to me. That left a weird taste in my wife and my mouth, as far as like, okay, he's, baby, he went to hang out with Jensen, or, I was like, what? So, and then again, they just started doing these like Jensen's Instagram live podcast or whatever. And I think they just get on, they're kind of guys that are, without just throwing a bunch of speculation out there about Jensen, because I haven't dealt with him personally as much. They just, from watching kind of their videos, they just ramble on, and they're kind of pathological and have a hard time keeping track of their stuff.
But as far as like in the fight industry, Jensen's well respected. He's been around for like 15, 20 years. He's known by many and loved by many. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, that's your opinion on him, but a lot of people would disagree on that.
I've had it. I thought I was cordial with Jensen. And then I did go on his podcast and with Zach, or his Instagram live with Zach, and we all got on the same page on this fight, I guess, at one stage. So I thought it was going to be all good. On fight week, it was wacky at the Seneca Hotel. Like, those guys were a little like mob. There was like a mob of trolls there, and even Jensen was like, it was weird, man. Weird stuff. Like, I went to get on the elevator once, and they were in the elevator, and they were like, seats taken. Like, shut the elevator. I'm like, what the fuck? Or something. I was
this
okay.
is in New York? You're talking about in New York?
Yeah. It was like, all right, dudes. So
they're fucking with you a little bit before the fight to get in your head?
Whatever. It is what it is. That wasn't going to bother me. Now, the thing that really bothered me, like, all this said, Zach and I, it just kept snowballing. Like, calling me a scumbag, saying he won't take the fight, trolling me on fight week. But then I started getting phone calls, and not very many people have my phone number. Zach happened to have my phone number because he cornered me. But about the day before weigh-ins and on fight day, my family started getting terrorized with phone calls, nasty phone calls, man. And I won't repeat some of the shit they're saying about my family, my wife, and my kid, and like, it was deplorable shit. I couldn't believe it, as a matter of fact. And I don't know. I just assume it's like this desperate ploy to like, let's get him emotional, and he'll come rushing in, and we're gonna sit back and box this time. We're not coming in throwing haymakers. We're gonna sit back. So we'll piss. But it was just like I'm not gonna repeat the shit they were saying, dude. But like the stuff they were saying about my family, calling me and trolling me, like it was enough. That's enough to take things into just some bad story. So that coupled with Zach fighting dirty as shit in the fight, yeah, people were like, he wasn't sportsmanlike afterwards. No, I was not. There's no sports. That shit that they pulled with terrorizing my family, and then the 23 fouls I took in that fight, the way Zach was fighting in that 5th round, he was acting like, oh, I got him. Yeah, you got me with a bunch of fouls, dude. So I had to survive in that 5th round, but yeah, it wasn't like kumbaya after that. But he didn't do anything to repair the fucking beef, that's for sure.
So the phone call thing, right? Just to play devil's advocate, you can't prove that it was them, right? But you assume that it was them because of all the shenanigans that were going on in the hotel that you're talking about, and that
I was getting calls from like 8 different area codes, but I don't get calls. You know what I mean? Like you can count the people who have my phone number on one hand. So at first I was like, what the hell was that? And then it kept happening. And it was like, I'm like, what are they doing? Are they on the internet using burner numbers so they can or they just have people from 5 different area codes like use my phone or something? But it was like the same vein of calls. And again, I can't prove it was them, but I have just this track record of them saying one thing, doing another. Or Zach, like, as you said, he said that I got kicked out of my gym, which now I have a relationship with my gym. It just so happened that the coach that I'm working with most, the head coach, Joey Villasenor, was going to come out and corner me. We just got some stuff mixed up with scheduling. So because he had already booked my flights and booked my hotel, and I had a hotel for Coach Joey, and then I ended up canceling it because I thought it was just a big mix-up, and then Connor Tierney's corner offered to stand in my corner, and it just was kind of a last-minute screw-up, but that was the reason why I didn't have my coaches with me this time. So I did get to train. I'm sure it was somewhat indicative in my performance based on, in comparison to my first, that I was able to get a little bit more training in for this one.
So let's talk about the fight. You mentioned the fouls. There were definitely some fouls, yes. Do you feel that you won that fight? And what do you have to say to all the people that are saying that you were on a treadmill running the entire fight?
I feel like that a narrative gets put in play, and that's just what it is. I mean, there's not a lot of back foot fighters. BKFC, especially not in the heavyweight division. I mean, how many fights have gone to decision in heavyweight? I mean, we could probably, it might take a minute to comb through them, but they probably all have oh shoot, who was the last champ? Joey in them.
Joey versus Adams, yeah. Beltran Adams. Yeah.
I'd imagine that Joey was the only probably ones that goes to the decision. There might be some others, but so what I'm saying is it was probably looked at unorthodox in there, and it's kind of hard to see. Like Zach was coming forward throwing overhands, and I was countering. So if you're just looking at coming forward, I could see how to focus on that. But I had outlined 27 to 14 strikes going into that 5th round. He happened to, unless you're counting those 8 rabbit punches to the back of my head in the 4th round, but he 3-pieced me after that bell in the 4th, and every one of them was significant. It compromised me. So he hit me with a body shot that hurt. That's what you see me bend over. I'm like, fuck. And I was rocked. He got me. I was rocked and cut my eye to where my eye instantly pulled. So I was like, shit, I did so well not getting hit with this shit the whole first 4 rounds. And then I get caught after the 4th. And then with the 5th round, it was just absolutely, I think he only hit me with something like 15 shots in the 5th, and I had 7 or something like that. But at one point he fouled again coming off the break, and he got warned, and I got a bunch of rabbit punches in that one too, but I got cut again in that exchange, and both my eyes were pulled. So, I never fought with both my eyes full of blood before. I didn't want to tell him that I couldn't. Obviously, you don't say you can't see. So I knew I was going in with one eye to that 5th round. It was very like Bisping fucking Anderson Silva, dude. It was very strange. So I was like, I didn't expect to get to the decision. I knew full well that I'd never been knocked out. He's got a lot of fights, and he's had some the ref stepped in and because he was getting flurried on, but he's had 30 fights and the dude's good. So I wasn't under some, you say, yeah, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out, but I wasn't delusional in thinking that I was gonna for sure get a quick knockout. But cardio that I was able to put together for this fight, I wouldn't have expected me to be able to do 5 rounds. So once we got the 4th round, I felt the round was my best. I think I outlined like 29-3 round, and then the 4th round was a little bit. I mean, the 2nd round and the 4th round were probably the least active, but I felt good going to that 5th. I felt like, or halfway through that 4th, I was like, all right, maybe I can turn it on a little bit in the 5th and kind of come forward with those flurries a little bit more. But we saw what happened. That didn't quite pan out. So.
Right. I rewatched the fight a couple times, and I watched it, like I was focused on it, because the first time I watched the fight, I was down, at the school. I was with a bunch of guys that had never seen it before. So we were doing a lot of talking and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, when the fight was over, I wasn't completely sure whose hand was going to get raised. But however, the last round, for sure, I knew that he won that last round. And you just spoke about it. After I went through it, I thought that because of the fouls, that in the 3rd round, possibly they could have taken a point from Zach. It would have been tied, but I did have him winning a round because of, moving backwards and stuff in the 3rd round. I think I wrote a note here that he was pretty aggressive most of the time. And I think that plus, like you said, you were cut up, which one of those cuts did happen after the bell. You did hit him after the bell in the 1st round, I think, but it didn't result in a cut. He had the cut before the round was over.
Me, and I've slowed it down. You can find it on my page, but I know Zach hits late. I've seen his sparring footage. That's kind of when he catches his sparring partner. Which who the fuck's trying to catch their sparring partners? But anyways, I digress. I knew he was going to throw, and my back was almost up against those dividers, and I was up against the ropes, and I knew he was throwing. He throws a right hand. I'm just faster than him, so I can literally wait till he throws and hit him. And I'm like, I knew he was throwing he throws his right hand, and I just hit him with the jab, and then he hits it, he gets hit, and then he goes to throw a left, so I hit him with the right, and that Mergliotta obviously just saw me throwing and pushes me, but I'm like, dude, I just had to protect myself. I wasn't in a position to get out of the way. So since Mergliotta got pissed at me, I knew he was coming after me late again in the fucking 4th round. That's why I just turned and had my arm, and I fucked up because I should have fucking swung at him, but I wasn't really in a position to. And I knew that if I had swung late this time, even though I'm just trying to defend myself, that they're probably going to take a point off of me, the way that the vibe I was getting off Mergliotta.
Were you surprised that they didn't take a point from Zach?
Absolutely, especially once he, it's like, I don't know. I don't want to get into how I feel about Mergliotta, but he got after he threw all the rabbit punches in the clinch in the 5th, and then off the break he 3-pieced me again. Mergliotta finally got mad at him. I don't know. I mean,
he definitely did. Mergliotta definitely got mad at him for sure.
I'd like to see those scorecards, because I've caught wind that they took a point off me somewhere. Is what I'm hearing. So one
of the judges had it 49-46. I don't know what that judge was definitely smoking crazy. It was definitely closer, a lot closer than that.
A lot of people
down
in that. A lot of people think I went down in that 3rd round when there was a slip. He stepped on my foot and pushed me, and I fell, and I was all, fuck no, it's a slip. Right back at it. There was no count, but some people were I think that one of the other fighters' coaches I think they gave him a knockdown for that. I'm like, what the fuck ever.
Oh, they definitely shouldn't have if they did, because it was ruled a slip. So let's now, after the fight, we see him on camera. I know he was trying to come to you and shake your hand. Obviously, this too, and you were super upset. A lot of people have been giving you a lot of shit about that too, about the unsportsmanlike and this and that. Now, listen, I get it. You were pissed off, this and that. We just heard you talk about, what happened before the fight, which a lot of people didn't know whether it's true or not. We can't prove who was on the phone and all that stuff, but in your mind, that's where your head was at. What do you think, and what do you have to say about what happened after the fight? And then off the camera, did anything happen? Did you guys squash any beef? I mean, it doesn't look that way, but let us know.
No, I was pissed off. I knew that once the decision was taking a while, which is why, if it was unanimous, did it take so long? I was like, motherfucker, they're giving it to Zach. And then once I heard unanimous, I didn't think I'd win a decision over Zach, and I'm not trying to pick up any kind of discussions on and judge it in the regard of judging, but we're in New York. Zach's beloved. He comes forward. I back foot fight. So I didn't expect, if it was close, I knew I wouldn't get it. And you know, I know a lot changed after that, those late shots in the 4th and then the 5th round. But and I don't know that people know this. When I'm in the corner arguing with Connor's, because they don't know me well, I gave him my game plan, but we ended up arguing a lot between rounds. Like I don't take a seat and I just kind of pace and I'm just arguing with them. I pull my mouthpiece out so I can articulate these arguments. But and they're going, I'm fucking rocked. Now I'm gonna fight rocked. I'm trying to convey to them like what's going on without saying I can't see, because I know that if anyone hears me say I can't see, they already asked me if my hand's broken because it was like a balloon, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, because like they'll stop it. So, and then all of a sudden, who I've only met David Feldman one time, all of a sudden in my corner is David Feldman, and a lot of people were like, did he tell you to chill out? And I'm like, no, bro. He said, if you knock him out in this round, I'll give you $2,500. And I'm like, what the fuck? And there's somebody else with the camera on my face, and I'm arguing with.
I was wondering what he said, because I saw him up on the ring, but I didn't know if he was telling you like just relax. You know, we saw what happened, or what he was doing.
It would have been interesting if he had come up and said that between rounds 3 and 4, where I wasn't rocked and blind and pissed and hurt to the body, like from those late shots. It was just like another thing that I'm like, what? Now that's in my head. Is this real life or something? Like you know, that was like I never heard of that happening. So, anyways, to your question, yeah, I was pissed off at the end for sure. And again, like I said, if Zach had just fought with honor and we just went at it and there wasn't any dirty shit, and again, like if he didn't act like, oh, I got you now after the dirty shit or something, like even in there were just things throughout the fight. He tried to act like the slip was a knockdown. He's like, no, I hit him. And I'm like, fuck no, bro. It was, and then, you know, all the fouls, like I said, we could have went out of there with a handshake, I reckon. Even, like you said, I could have given him one more time the benefit of the doubt that the phone calls weren't to do with him and things of that nature, and the trolling that week and whatever. But,
all right,
you know.
You have a fight coming up? Do you have a fight coming up?
And then tried to act good guy, because he did that shit during fight week. He was talking shit during the weigh-ins, behind the scenes, and then when there were the cameras there, he'd be like, "Come on, Kyle, be nice." So he's pulling that kind of fucking good cop, bad cop, devil's advocate shit with me, and that's what he did.
So no love lost here between you guys.
No love lost. You're on to your next opponent, right? You have a fight. Are you fighting Bobo O'Bannon?
Well, there's nothing official I can't say. I will say I think it's pretty much out there now that he went to BKFC immediately after my fight and asked for me and wanted me, which is like, why call me? Okay, so they offered it. Later, I got an offer for Bobo. So other
than fighting his friend and his Mukau management manages Zach, so they're tight. Other than that, did you do something that crossed Bobo in a way where he wanted to fight you next? Because honestly, I don't understand how that fight gets made anyway, other than him just wanting to fight you for whatever reason. What is the reason that he wants to fight you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can be like, Bobo's off a loss, so it's like, I guess you could fight anybody, but yeah, justify. I don't know. I was surprised. I knew that Bobo was like, you know, fuck Kyle or whatever, but I didn't know. I was surprised to get the offer or whatever. So, but from the BKFC standpoint, I know Bobo doesn't like me because he started trolling me after my loss last year. I posted something on Instagram that was like, you know, just trying to like, it wasn't like a good feeling to come out in that fight go that way. So I think I was just trying to like make myself feel better about it. But I posted something about like, hey, you know, what's a good story without a comeback? And he just came in and started trolling me like, don't you need to like, what comeback from what, loser, or something? You haven't won anything yet or something. And so there was like some weird shit back then where I DM'd him and was like, hey, what's up, man? Like I thought we were cool. We exchanged some like pleasantries about God bless and things like that. And then all of a sudden, and he's like, well, I'm just saying, I just like, what comeback from what? So, and then we had like a back and forth, and that was like last August, but that hadn't really talked about to the guy since. And then all of a sudden, here we are. He's asking to fight me after I fight Zach. So I guess you'd have to ask Bobo what his deal is. He just says he doesn't. Him and his crew don't like me or whatever. So
if you in fact get the call, let's pretend I'm Nate Shook and I say, hey, Bobo's next. Sign this. You're going to sign that dotted line.
Yeah, absolutely. They know. I've accepted every single fight there have been plenty of names that didn't end up panning out for whatever reason, but this is how it goes. Hey, do you want to fight so-and-so via text? And within the same minute that I get the text, I say, let's do it. Give me that person. And that's exactly how this went. You want Bobo? Yep, give me Bobo. Awesome. That's it. That's how it goes.
All right. We're out of the fight. We're out of the fight zone.
Closer to the fight, but
let's get outside all the drama, the fight stuff for the BKFC, Moo Cow management, all that stuff, right? Let's get outside of that. I was looking through your Instagram and stuff like that, and I thought it was cool. I saw you. Where were you, in Hawaii, or you went on some trips? And I saw you playing. What is it? The guitarlele? How do you say that?
Oh, yeah. It's like a ukulele, but with 6 strings essentially.
How long have you been playing that for?
That little thing I got a few years ago, just for traveling and stuff like that. I've been playing music since college, since probably 2004, something like that. That's kind of what I used to do, was travel around the world, busking and playing little shows and stuff. So that was just
traveling and playing music. You play a whole bunch of shit, or what?
That's my milieu for better part of 15 years or so, I guess.
You play a bunch of songs?
I used to have a pretty good catalog. I'm a singer-songwriter, so I did. I had a pretty decent set list, I guess, and then whatever, you do covers.
If I said, hey, come, you pull that thing off the wall and just do Enter Sandman real quick, not the whole song, but just would you do that? Do you play Metallica? Would you play?
I don't know Metallica, but I guess I think I'm more of a B-side tracks kind of a guy. So, but I hate to disappoint. But next time I'm on, I'll know Enter Sandman if you
okay, deal.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, I got to tell you, man. I have never seen so many people hate a guest of mine, a guest of ours, in the comment section. So congratulations on that one. You have You have a lot of people in there chiming in. One person says you called out Bobo in the tryouts. Is that true? How about this? I'll run through a few things from the comments real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
They've been going quick. You can barely read them.
Here's the ones that I remember. Did you say something about Zach's wife that pissed some people off? Is that true?
No, I've never said. I wouldn't say things about people's wives. As a matter of fact, I will say this: Zach's wife. You can see in my right as I'm about to take my ring, my vest off. Zach's wife comes up to me in the she gets real close to me, as close as she could get, and she's like, "He's gonna kill you." I didn't even say anything to her. I blew a kiss to some people bullying me when I first walked out, but I'm not even gonna say something to someone's wife who said that their husband's or their partner's gonna kill me. So no, I wouldn't say anything about Zach's wife. Zach and I got into a dust up when I stepped foot into the hotel, but it had nothing to do with his partner. So he just happened to be the first face I saw when I walked in off a long haul flight, and he didn't have nice things to say, neither did I. So anyways,
okay.
So I would never say anything about Zach's partner. As a matter of fact, and I've held her. I held Zach's partner in high regard. And, I didn't like some of the ways I was treated by obviously what I just said, but I can understand that she's just supporting her guy, so it's all good. No, I have nothing against Zach's partner.
Did you call out Bobo O'Bannon at the BKFC tryouts?
No, as a matter of fact, you can. That's what's crazy about a lot of these accusations, because a lot of this stuff's on video. Like, I never said I wouldn't fight Kyle on video. I said if you go to the tryout, I say but just I mean they wanted me to call to say some names of people that I think it would be cool to fight. I said Bobo, but I would just as soon drink a beer with him. That's the verbatim what I said. I said Bobo, but I'd just as soon drink a beer with him. And then I said Zach, obviously, and I don't remember if there was anybody else I said, but that's what I said about Bobo, but I would just as soon drink a beer with him. So I don't know why I know that.
Last one is you said that he was offered the fight with you, but turned it down. Did that have anything to do with the fact that he was offered the Nolan Smith fight? Because that was a fight that was booked. Was that before or after the Nolan Smith fight, or was that at the same time? Was he offered them both and he picked Nolan over you, or how did that work out?
I couldn't speak on when he was offered Nolan. I can go off of what Zach says, because again, this stuff's on video. So initially it said I would never. I told him, which is funny because no one tells anyone from the BKFC, I'll never fight someone. Like, no one says that. But what he said was like, I'll never fight him. I'll never fight him. He's a scumbag. He's not honorable. I'll never fight him. That was his initial stance. And then later when I was on the podcast and I was like, bro, you said you never fight me. I'm a scumbag. Like, that sucked. You like, that fight should have happened. He didn't want to come to Albuquerque. He's always, that place is a scumbag. That place is a shithole. Let's put that aside. He didn't want to come to Albuquerque, and his initial stance was he didn't want to fight me because I'm a scumbag. Later on the next podcast or whatever, he said, no, Kyle, no, it was just because I was offered you or Nolan, and I could pick which one, and I picked Nolan. And okay, well, that's fine. That wasn't your initial stance, was that you would never fight me because I'm a piece of shit. He never mentioned Nolan the first time he talked about why he wouldn't fight me. So I can understand him wanting to just fight in New York and not want to leave, but that wasn't his initial stance. So again, that's all on video. I don't know why we argue about it.
All right, and the last thing I have for you, if you are going to fight Bobo O'Bannon, say you said nothing's official, nothing's on paper.
Right.
Do you guys has there been talks between you and the BKFC about this fight? And if so, is there a time frame that we could look forward to this one? Because I'm sure a lot of people want to see it.
Well, again, like, we're not, it's hard to figure out what you're meant to divulge in these situations. I think things have come out that maybe Bobo and I would have preferred to keep quiet for longer, but I think it's out there now that that he asked for it and they offered it to me, and there's no date set yet.
All right, man.
I just got out of a 5-rounder, and I have a 60-day suspension from Seneca for medical. So if we can get that cleared sooner, maybe sooner. I mean, my hands are a little tender, but I'm already hitting mitts again and stuff. So yeah, I came out of that, even with the fouls and the shit like that, I came out of that fight relatively unscathed. So we'll just have to see when that makes sense for them. I don't know if it's like, okay, but like you said, why would they make this fight? Maybe this time Bobo's like, give me one. Can you do one for me? Because I've done all these for you. Maybe give me someone. Maybe he's like, can I do a call out or something? So I have no idea.
All right. Well, that's all I got. Mike, what do you got for him?
No, look, I know it was a lot. We gave you some extra time because we know that there's all this stuff going on. We don't know anything of the behind the scenes, like we said before. We don't know why people, we read everything in the comments. We're on Facebook. We watch all the fights. We know the fighters, right? We see what's going on, but we haven't personally talked to you or talked to Zach or Bobo about any of this stuff. So to get your side and hear it, and of course everyone knows who watches this show that at some time in the future we'll probably have Bobo on and Zach, and they'll tell their piece and all that stuff, and everybody can get their side in, and if anybody has any rebuttals, they rebuttal. That's what we're here for. We're here to meet the fighters, learn the behind the scenes stuff. We're not here to choose sides, but we're here to tell the story, and let the fighters tell their story.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that was one of the reasons I was happy to come on. You all seem diplomatic in your approach, and I can appreciate that. Again, I don't know Bobo, even though and I don't know. I know Zach from how I've had to deal with him behind the scenes a little bit, and in my experience, he hasn't been a man of his word in various ways. But again, I don't know him, and I'm not going to come out and say that the guy's a scumbag. And I especially wouldn't say that about Bobo. I don't know him very well. So yeah, I know they're beloved by a small subculture of the BKFC fan base. And again, I'm not gonna try to shit all over their heroes. They're both tough guys. I didn't expect a quick knockout over Zach, and he people say he doesn't hit hard. I knew he was gonna hit hard. He hits hard. Bobo hits hard. It's a dangerous organization. It's a dangerous sport, and it's certainly a dangerous weight division. So,
all right, brother. Well, I'll tell you what.
Get hit by no heavyweights. That's for sure.
I'll tell you what. Hey, we'll have you back on once this fight's official. We'll have you back on. We'll have Bobo on. We'll have Zach. And we'll get the whole group back together again. You know what I mean?
Kumbaya. I'll fucking play Kumbaya. I'll
there we go.
Kumbaya.
On your what's it called? A guitar-lele?
Guitar-lele?
Whatever, Yamaha. Get it with it.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much. We'll give you 1 minute to shout or say one last thing before we let you go. We got one more guest coming on in a second, so go ahead.
All right. And just let me start out by saying thanks for having me on. I appreciate your time. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Mary Jane, House of Glass. They were my first sponsor. They've been really great to me. Fusion CBD's been really great. Barstool Sports has been awesome. I don't know what the sponsorship is with Barstool Sports. I feel like we're figuring it out as we go along, but they're great. And TBE CrossFit has been amazing to me. If it wasn't for, dude, a year and a half ago, I was 300 pounds and I hadn't worked out in 20 years. CrossFit got me in about 6 months, and I went to that tryout on a whim and just won it. And here the hell we are. I wasn't expecting to be a fighter. So here we go. We're figuring it out on the job training. And thanks to Jackson's submission, Jackson Wink, everyone over there that's rallied behind me and helped me try to figure out what the hell to do, how to train someone who's never trained. So, we're figuring out how to fight as we go along. And thanks to all the coaches there to kind of help me figure out what to do with this last camp. There's no way I would have gotten out of a round with Zach if I hadn't got some training in for this fight. So appreciate that. And thanks to the BKFC. And Nate Shook is an absolute legend. The guy brought me in, he signed me, and he's been nothing but good to me. I don't know David Feldman well, but I can't say anything but good things about Nate. So I appreciate it.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for telling us your story. What's up?
My wife, she's been a very strong, supportive role in this, and she's like a Viking queen, and she'll always have my back. So, and she's not, I don't know, there was some weird video on Facebook. They're like, this is his wife, some angry chick. That is not my wife. I don't know who that woman was, but again, I couldn't do this without her. We didn't expect me to try to become a fighter all of a sudden. Like, she didn't marry a fighter. So she married, you know what I mean? So we're figuring this out as we go along. And again, thanks for having me on. Appreciate you.
Thanks for coming on.
Have a good night, brother.